This is Hindsight Radio.
I represent it.
The information station changing the nation.
Peace to the gods. This is Akeem from Hindsight Radio, the host of the Truth Tuesday show that comes on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the host of the More Empire Building show that comes on every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have the other shows. We have Monday, Jonah Bay, Jonah Bay show on Monday, every Monday at 7 p.m., and he does Consultation Wednesday, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And my son does a show on Friday called Freedom Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can get that show at blogtalkradio.com. Here is the website right there, blogtalkradio.com/hindsight 2020. Those are all of our shows. The shows are many topics from child support to court cases, traffic tickets. Nationality is our biggest thing, showing you how to correct your birth certificate. We actually got a seminar coming up on September the 22nd in Virginia Beach. You can go to my website, akeeml.com. Right here, akeeml.com. As you can see, I got child support templates. And this is what this video is about. Someone challenged me and said, there's no information on this page called the Child Support Enforcement Scam group that I set up. I set this up a few years ago, and people are just catching on now. So they're right. I take challenges. I take criticism. So I'm going to give you some stuff that you can actually use to help you in child support. We're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about how to stay out of child support and how to get out of child support if you're in child support. And they're going to be summaries. They're not going to be full, what my templates do. Child support is basically involuntary servitude. When someone forces you to do something against your will, it's called involuntary servitude, and that is forbidden in the Constitution. I'm going to use the North Carolina Constitution because that's where I am, in North Carolina. Section 17, it says slavery is forever prohibited, involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime whereof the parties have been adjudged guilty is forever prohibited. What is involuntary servitude? Because they said slavery and then they said involuntary servitude. It's a whole nother meaning. Let's go here to this webpage, electlaw.com. And it talks about involuntary servitude and peonage. It's a condition of compulsory service or labor performed by one person against his will for the benefit of another due to force, threats, intimidation, or other similar means of coercion and compulsion directed against him. So isn't that what child support is? They send you a letter, come to court. If you don't come to court, we're going to judge against you and you're going to have to pay money. You're going to become a slave, basically, if you don't come to court and answer what they want you to do, right? And the Constitution says that's not supposed to happen. But how is it happening? How are they getting away with this? You got to remember, everything you know about child support and most of the laws in this country is by assumption. Meaning, you heard someone else's story about going to court and how they made them pay $1,000 a month. $3,000 a month. You hear these news stories of these athletes paying tens of thousands a month to these children. And you assume that it's a mandatory action. I'm here to tell you it is not. It is totally voluntary. How is it voluntary? How is it? Well, let's just keep reading this first and then I'll show you how it's voluntary. In considering whether service or labor was performed by someone against his will or involuntarily, it makes no difference that the person may have initially agreed, voluntarily, or rendered the service or performed the work. If a person willingly begins work but later desires to withdraw and is then forced to remain and perform work against his will, his service becomes involuntary. So when you read in that statement, even if you got into child support, you can withdraw from it. Because you went to, honestly, you went to court, or you really didn't go to court. Most people, they go to this administrative hearing. It's not a real judge. and you guys come to agreement. You the only one who didn't know that it was an agreement. When you get those letters in the mail, they say negotiation hearing, agreement hearing. And then they ask for certain things like, what is your income? Where do you live? Are you a U.S. citizen? All of these questions they want you to answer. Then at the bottom, they want you to sign something. You guys who are in child support know what I'm talking about. All of those are voluntary actions that you are committing that puts you in the jurisdiction of that administrative hearing, of that court, to pay child support. And you do not have to do it. Why don't you have to do it? Here it is, in this Constitution. Section 23, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Rights, Article 1, it says, in all criminal prosecutions, every person charged with crime has a right to be informed of the accusation and to confront the accusers and witnesses of other testimony, with other testimony. That little statement right there opens up a can of worms when you have courts coming in as the state versus you with no witnesses. This Constitution says you need witnesses, someone you can question. The state is never a victim, but we're not going to get into that now. Then it says, and to have counsel for defense and not to be compelled to give self-incriminating evidence. See how I highlighted that? So when you hand over that information to them, you are giving them information to convict you, basically, to charge you something, to say how much you're going to pay. You have a right not to give evidence against yourself. Did you know that doing a tax return is giving evidence against yourself? Yeah, because when you sign on that bottom line, it says you're signing under penalty and perjury. You're taking an oath. More people get in trouble when they do a tax return than when they don't do it, because you gave them the evidence. So what I'm trying to tell you, when you're setting up these child support orders and you raise your right hand and then you to court and they're asking you, is this your child? They're really asking you, is this your legal child? Which is different from a natural child. As you can see here, it says a child born out of lawful wedlock, an illegitimate child. They want to know if it's a legal child because that puts you in the jurisdiction. You're answering questions that will harm you later. You do not have to answer that question. You can say, I plead the fifth. And take a certified copy of your state's constitution and put it in there and highlight these sections where it says self-incriminating evidence. See, the reason why the Constitution works is because every officer of the court, every cop, everybody who works for the government, state or federal, must take an oath to the Constitution. Even people who become guardians of people have to take an oath to the Constitution. It is a contract for them to enforce, to protect your unalienable rights. And if you don't know your rights, you don't have any rights. And most of us do not know our rights. We assume our rights because you saw someone else get dragged through the mud when it came to child support. And you willingly went into child support because you thought you had to. You were tricked into these contracts. But don't blame anybody else. Blame yourself. You didn't read. You didn't study. I'm guilty of it too. Guilty by association. Guilty by assumption. Guilty because I listened to what you call street knowledge, street logic. And most of us, that's what we have. Street logic. Logic, when I say you have street logic, everything you believe is based on what you heard from someone else's experiences, not by something you investigated and read on your own. All right? I just showed you a couple of things in the Constitution. Some other things that can help you, like religious freedoms, all of that. Speaking of religious freedom, the code that they use to even put into the procedures of child support is 42 U.S.C. Section 666, requirement of statutorily prescribed procedures to improve effectiveness of child support enforcement. That's the number of the beast. This is how treacherous your government is. But if you think that's treacherous, look at this. Look at this. This is why states are enforcing child support. Sorry. That was withholding agreements. That's a whole nother topic, y'all. Whole nother topic. Let's go forward. Let's go to 655 first. Payments to states. From the sums appropriated, therefore, the Secretary shall pay to each state for each quarter an amount equal to the percent specified in paragraph 2 of the total amounts expended by such states during such quarter for the operation of a plan approved under Section 654 of this title. So what that's saying is, this is what the state under Section 2 will pay for them to enforce child support. 70% of fiscal years 1984 through 1987. Then it goes up to C, 66% for fiscal year 1990, each fiscal year thereafter. So they get 66% back off of everything they spend to enforce child support. Okay, some people might say, oh, they got to spend money to do this. Boom. But if you keep reading this law gets a little more worse. But I'm not going to read this. This is going to be your job to read these laws. I'm just showing you a few of them. Let's go here. This is where it really gets worse. Incentive payments for states. Here it is. In addition to any other payment under the part, the Secretary subject to subsection F, make an incentive payment to each state for each fiscal year in an amount determined under subsection B. Here it is. Incentive payment pool. $422 million starting in year 2000, going up to $483 million in year 2008, and it increases as it goes on. And look here, they get an incentive for incentive base amount. In paragraph 3, the term incentive base amount means with respect to a state and a fiscal year, the sum of the applicable percentages determined in accordance with paragraph 6 multiplied by the corresponding maximum incentive base amount for the state of the fiscal year with respect to each following measures of state performance for the fiscal year. They get an incentive for paternity established performance level. That's why they always stick in those forms and, voluntary paternity. Like, say, you're not married to the mom, and they give you that form. And if you read that form carefully, let me see if I can pull one up. Voluntary paternity form. Let's see if I can find an example of this for you to look at. Here's one. This one out of Wisconsin. They're not giving me the form. Let's see if I can find the form. This is some old garbage. This is one of their sites, but I need one that will give me a PDF. Here's one. This is a PDF. We're not going to read the whole form. I just want you to see what some of them which this looks like, because there's something in here that traps you. This is what they use to enforce child support. See, if they have this form, as I showed you in that law, they get paid for that, having that form with it. Let's see, this is all of the information, blah, blah, blah. Where's the freaking form? I don't need all of the history. Hope the form is in here. Come on, come on, come on. This looks like more of a. Here it is. Rights and appendix, parent statements, and this is a little booklet. Here's the worksheet, birth certificate worksheet, where they're asking all of the information, evaluation, blah, follow up letter. Where's that form? This is not what I was looking for. Sorry, y'all. When you need one of these forms, here's one, New York. Hopefully this one I have it. Okay, this is it. Acknowledgement of paternity for a child born to an unmarried woman. The reason why it's unmarried woman because if a child is born in wedlock, it's automatically assumed to be the father, no matter who she slept with. They're gonna assume that guy she's married with is the father. All right. This is all of the what effect does signing acknowledgement of paternity have? They tell you, most people don't read it. An acknowledgement of paternity that has been voluntarily signed by both parents has the same legal force and effect as a court order determining a child's legal father. See, they use the term legal father. They don't say natural father. And establish the duty of both parents to provide support for the child. Now, let me break that down to you. See, a lot of women think they're not paying child support. They are. Although you're the custodial parent, in that order, it has an amount for you to pay, but it is waived because you are the custodial parent. So both parents are under a child support order. It's just that one parent actually have to pay a monetary fee, and the other parent gets its portion waived because the child is in the home with the mom. So everybody is being enforced. So when you look at this the whole picture of this, they're getting money for both parents. I enforced it on him. I enforced it on her. I got them to step. All of these, they're getting double. So the state is not looking out for children. They're looking out for themselves. When a man signs an acknowledgement of paternity, he gives up his right to a court hearing to determine if he's the child's father. He may establish custody and visitation rights. They say he may. That means they don't give a shit. You do whatever you want. That doesn't establish thing. That means he got to go in court fight for that. And a lot of these guys don't get it. He may be required to give consent before a child can be placed for adoption. It establishes the child's right to inherit from the father if the acknowledgement of paternity is filed with the registrar in the district where the birth certificate was filed, and it may establish the child's right to inherit from the father if the acknowledgement of paternity is only filed with the putative father registry. That's something to look up, y'all. We're not going to look at that right now. What happens if you don't sign? The man will not have a duty to support the child. Key question. If you don't sign that, doesn't mean that that's your child or not. But if you don't sign it, they can't drag you into court with that form and use it against you. Use it as evidence against you. Remember the Fifth Amendment. You fill it out. That's evidence against yourself. Evidence against yourself. Do not fill these forms out. And his name cannot be on a birth certificate until there has been a hearing in court where he is determined to be the father of the child. See, they use stuff like that. I want my name to be on the birth certificate and blah, blah, blah to trap you into these orders. If the court determines a man to be the father of the child, the court may make an order of support which may be retroactive to the birth of the child. You see? Let's go down. What happens after you sign? If you sign the acknowledgement of paternity at a hospital social service district, the original acknowledgement of paternity will be filed for you with the registrar of the district where the birth certificate is filed, and the registrar will mail you a certified copy of acknowledgement of paternity. And for births in New York hospitals not located in New York City, the registrar will file a copy of acknowledgement of paternity. They're telling you what they're going to do this. Here. Now, I want to skip down to the actual form where you signing off. Here it is. See this little writing right here? See it? See it right there? It says, we understand that signing this acknowledgement of paternity is voluntary and will establish paternity of our child and have the same force and effect as an order of filiation, determining paternity, and entered after a court hearing, including an obligation to provide support for the child. So they're telling you they're going to use this as evidence. Except that only if this acknowledgement of paternity is filed with the registrar where the birth certificate is filed will the acknowledgement of paternity have such force and effect with respect to inheritance rights. We have received written and oral notice of our legal rights, including the time frames to withdraw. So you can withdraw from this. Responsibilities, alternatives, and consequences. See, they say consequences? See the little writing? Of signing the acknowledgement of paternity, and we understand what the notice states. A copy of the written notice has been provided to us. We certify that the information we provide below is true. See, all of that's giving up your rights, brothers. Then it says the above acknowledgement of paternity is hereby filed with, then they registered. Then it says, I hereby consent to the acknowledgement of paternity for my child named above, an acknowledgement that the man named above is the only possible father of the child. Well, that's for the mother. All of this is giving up your rights. Rights. And it enables the government to make money off you. Let's go back. They get an incentive payment for the support or the performance level, the current payment performance level, the arrears payment performance level, and the cost effectiveness performance level. This is why the states are running these things like a farm. Because they get money. They get $1 for every dollar they collect. And they get incentives on top of that. Plus they get reimbursed a percentage of the monies that they used to even enforce these orders. I could keep going. I could be here all day going over this stuff. But I'm just skimming. Remember these laws. 42 U.S.C. Section 658. You can actually hear, this is all of the laws. There's one here, payments to states, provisions for reimbursement of expenses, distribution of collected support, how they're going to distribute it, things like that. They use words like award, like it's an accomplishment. These are things you need to be looking at. Do not assume what these words are. Now, I gave you guys some basic information to look up. Now, for those of you who need help with child support and don't feel that you can do this on your own, you can get a consultation with me. It's at akimel.com. And click this consultation check tab. It's $60 for 30 minutes. If you do not want to pay for a consultation or you feel like that's too much, my private time is too much for you, just hit this one. You book it here. And this gives you what to do. Hit that drop down because those are the instructions. You book it. And it'll give you times that I'll be available. But if you don't want to pay for a consultation, you feel like you can do it yourself, you can go on blogtalkradio.com at the time I'm on the air, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and ask me questions for free, and I'll help you. Or I have child support enforcement templates that'll shut it down. Right there. Hit that. It's a bunch of different templates. It's cheaper than going to hire. Your attorney is not going to do this. He's just going to take your money. And there you go. This was included here. An injunction, judicial notice, affidavit denial of U.S. citizenship, judicial notice, rebuttal templates. I recommend you talk to me first before you're buying anything so I'll know I can give you guidance on how to use all of these things. All right? And the templates that are there are actual templates that I have used. I created, and I turn them into templates to get people out of child support. Now, I did tell you guys that I would show you how to get out of child support. Some things some tips. If you get a letter inviting you to court and saying that you must appear or they're going to go against you, you have to respond to that. You have to put no contract. Send this child support injunction support injunction template with it. I do sell that one by itself. And then do a rebuttal. Simple rebuttal. Why you don't pay child support. Remember, I showed you in the Constitution that it was slavery. And it's also this as well. I didn't show you this one. It's ex post facto law. Retrospective laws punishing acts committed before existence of such laws and by them only declared criminal are oppressive and unjust and incompatible with liberty, and therefore no ex post facto law shall be enacted. So that's telling you that any law they created before this Constitution, after this Constitution created, and it goes against what's in this Constitution, is void. The reason why people are falling in for these other laws, they think they're real laws. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. After treaties. Treaties are the supreme law, then comes the Constitution. All right? And what else is against? They are not supposed to be imprisoning anybody for debt. Right there. There shall be no imprisonment for debt in this state except in cases of fraud. How they get around that is you agree to this order and they charge you with contempt of court. So they could just drop you in jail for not paying for whatever time. That's how they're getting these guys. Now, for you, those of you who are in child support, you definitely need these templates. But you have to go get your original orders and all of the paperwork that got you into child support and put no contract on it in red Sharpie. And then you have to rebut it point for point and submit it into the case and ask for a hearing to be heard on your motion to set aside judgment. All right? That's just a short way to do it. You know, it's some more details there, but I think I gave you enough information that you can go and do your research on your own. This doesn't work without your own hard work and due diligence. All right? All right. Once again, you go to my site, akimel.com, or go to blogtalkradio.com/hindsight2020. And you can look me up there and talk to me live on the air if you had any questions. Or you can set up a private consultation. But before you do anything, I suggest you talk to me, tell me what your situation is, and I can break it down. You can do that by getting a consultation. My private time is not free because that's time I spend with my family. You will have to pay me for it. $60 every 30 minutes. Or in my free time, get on the show, raise your hand, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. All right, there you have it. There's a short video, 28 minutes. That's not quite short, but I gave you some information for you guys to look up. One more thing, natural child is a child born out of lawful wedlock and an illegitimate child. They're doing business for legal children. All right, peace to the gods.